constant. And the constant was this. Every single one of them had failed. And so they really believed that what they were doing was going to answer the question once and for all. Can people really govern themselves? Can you have a society based on the idea that, yes, our rights are God-given, not government granted? Yes, we live under rule of law, not the rule of individual men. Yes, government needs to be limited and confined to its proper sphere. Or are we forever destined to live under various forms of despotism? And they believed that this country would ultimately answer that question. But they also didn't think that Benjamin Franklin said, he agreed to support the Constitution. He's like, I don't. Service to this country. And so when we're doing what we're doing and we're dealing with all these important issues, we also got to be mindful of this is still an experiment. This is still an experiment about whether free people can actually govern themselves successfully. And I like to think now, I know it's the case that what we've been able to do in the last 6 years in Florida shows that, yes, not only can you do the right thing, not only can you deliver results, but you can thrive like the states never thrived before. So thank you all. God bless you. I'm happy to take some questions.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. A final reminder to our audience, if you have questions that you would like to ask the governor, please raise them in the air at this time so our volunteers may bring them up to the table. Governor, our first two questions always come from the students in the audience. If the first student from Wellington High School would please stand, introduce yourself, and ask your question.
Good morning. My name is Melody Prats. I'm from Wellington Community High School, and I'm the president of our speech and debate program, coached by our lovely teacher, Paul Gaba.
That's awesome. Good job.
Thank you. We're extremely happy to be attending today as well. Many states, as we know, have faced challenges in recruiting and retaining qualified teachers. How does Florida intend to stem this tide to provide young adults such as myself and my table with quality educators while also maintaining high expectations for student achievement?
Great. Are you a senior?
I am.
Do you know what you're going to do after the school year?
I'm hoping and majoring in entrepreneurship and international relations.
Do you know where you want to go?
My goal is to go to George Washington University in D.C.
Okay, yeah, G-Dub. Okay, well, good luck to you. And our speech and debate, by the way, we had like 10 districts that had this when I became governor. Now every single school district in Florida has it. We're actually going to be rolling out, because we do a competition every year, we're going to do cash prizes for the first, second, third place, pretty big ones too, and really continue to do this and do some other stuff in conjunction with America 250. So I'm glad you're doing it. So, well, first of all, we've done a lot on teacher shortage. So be careful, anything with it, just so people know. If they're citing statistics from the teacher union, just understand those are political statistics. And so I remember a few years ago, all of a sudden they're talking about Florida having the teacher shortage. And I was like, I asked my guys, I'm like, are we the only ones that are having this? They're like, no, 30 states have more. And I was like, well, why are they always focusing? Oh, I know why they're always focusing on Florida. That's just what they do. So we've done a number of things. One, we've raised the average minimum salary, as I mentioned, about 20% from the time I've been, not that it's everything and not that you're going to do it to get wealthy, because you're not going to get wealthy. But, we want it to at least be attractive for folks to start out. Two, we've increased apprenticeships in the classroom. You can be very smart. It doesn't mean you'll be a good teacher. There's certain intangible skills that go into it, and I think learning on the job is a great way to do it. So that has been able to get more people in the classroom, get them qualified to be jobs. We've also created alternative pathways. So our military veterans can get credit for their military service if they want to go into the classroom. And we've had a number of people who've been able to teach using temporary certification. Then they do that a couple years, they get the full certification, and then they're golden. But then also, we've actually done things to help teachers vis-a-vis undisciplined students. I'm sorry, the inmates cannot run the asylums in our classrooms, and you have a right to make sure your classroom is orderly, and students should be held accountable if they're not going to be attentive. And we also did to allow no cell phones in the classroom, and I think that's really good. And the net result of all that is Florida, we have less than one teacher vacancy per school. So that's definitely below the national average. I think a lot of what we've done has been partially responsible for helping us get in a better spot. But I also think this issue with technology is going to continue to be a big issue. I have not seen so when we did the no cell phones, I literally had one of these leftist columnists compare me to Hitler for doing that. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, why? Now everyone's doing it. Republican, Democrat governors, they're all doing it because the results are what they are. First of all, who would want to teach when everyone's just buried on their phones? Like, what's the purpose of that? Second of all, these students, like, it needs to be interactive. I believe in being there in person. The virtual education was not a great substitute for most kids to be able to do it. So keeping these cell phones and these smartphones out of the classroom and making folks actually pay attention to what's going on, I don't think you're going to be able to be successful unless you adopt that policy. Then the question is going to be, this whole artificial intelligence. And there's a whole host of things, on this. But it's one thing to have technology that helps enhance the human experience. To have technology that some want to use to supplant the human experience is a different ball of wax. We as human beings can never relinquish our responsibility to think for ourselves. We cannot have school kids that just simply rely on ChatGPT instead of actually learning and retaining knowledge for themselves. So I think we did the right thing on the cell phones. I think as this artificial intelligence, although first of all, a lot of it is actually wrong when you do it, so you can't fully trust it. But I think it's going to constantly be an issue. How are we going to use technology? Do we want to supplement education, and do we want to supplement people doing things? One of the reasons I like speech and debate, you got to get on your feet, you got to express yourself. You can't just text your friends, right, what it is. You get up there, you do, and you may have to argue a point that you don't even agree with. There's some people that maybe they hate the Second Amendment. Well, maybe you're going to get a resolve that you have to defend that, and you got to get out of your comfort zone, and you got to do that. That's become a lost art in this society and in this country. And so I think the basics of education are what they are. I don't think that we can let technology overwhelm or even cancel out our responsibility to learn and think as individual human beings.
Thank you very much. If the second student from Palm Beach Central High School would please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Wise. I'm the senior class president at Palm Beach Central High School. I'm here on behalf of SGA and our sponsor, Mr. Cordero. My question for you today is, you recently proposed the idea of eliminating property taxes. Are there alternative revenue sources that would replace those resources and the items they fund?
Are you, what year are you?
I'm class of 2026, so I'm a senior.
You know what you're going to do afterwards?
I want to go into business administration because I want to be a real estate agent.
Are you going to stay in Florida? Do you know where you want to go?
I want to stay in Florida.
Okay, well, good luck to you. So, well, a couple things. One, it's been tough for a lot of people over these last 4 or 5 years keeping up with the costs that have gone up across the board. I mean, if you look now, affordability of homes adjusted inflation are the least affordable they've ever been. It's not just a supply issue, because like in Florida, there's been a lot of supply that's come online. People have built a lot of homes, and they built homes in Texas and these other places. Maybe not as much in California or some of these places that have different rules, but you've had that. You look at the cost of groceries. You look at the cost of all these medical and health insurance. I thought they were supposed to make that affordable years ago. It's not, right? And so what can we do to really help people? The one thing we control, I mean, I can try to do good policy that maybe would impact some of these things in the private sector, and I think we do it in a way that, you know, that is helpful on the margins on a lot of stuff. But the one thing we control is tax, and not the state, because we don't levy property tax. It's a local function. The revenue goes to local. It doesn't go to us. I don't need any revenue. I've got big surplus. We're fine. But is it right that somebody that's been in their home just constantly has to pay tax every single year? When does it end? It's almost like you're renting your home from the government. And so what we've said is not that we would eliminate it on every property, but as your personal homesteaded property, we want you to be able to own that free and clear of the government. Now, what people will say is, you need all this money. It's interesting because, we're working with the legislature to actually put something on the ballot. So you guys will be able to vote. And we're working through all these things. The vast, vast majority of property tax revenue is not from Homestead Floridian's properties. It's second homes, investment properties, commercial properties, Airbnb, all those other things. It's about 68 to 70% of property tax revenue statewide. I'll bet you in Palm Beach, you guys probably even get more on that stuff because you have so many people that have nice homes who are snowbirds, right? So you have an ability to be able to do really historic relief for people that would be there. So people say, well, where are you going to get the money? Well, how come nobody asks, why can't government spend less money? And here's the thing. And this is, so we created so we're doing audits of state universities and state agencies too. But we created something called the Florida Agency for Fiscal Oversight. And we do these FAFO audits now. Blaise Angolia is our chief financial officer, and he does these county and city audits. $200 million in overspending in Orange County, $200 million in overspending in Jacksonville. The mayor spent $80,000 to create a hologram of herself at the airport. So you see all this stuff. And so it's like, okay, well, what is that? If you just went back, and then a county like Broward has had a 60% increase in their budget, and they've had no net population increase over the last 5 years. So if you just had 2020 levels of local government, you would be able to do that, no problem. But we're also going to be recognizing this. Not every county is Palm Beach, right? You guys have people, tourists, snowbirds. You can have relief for your residents and allow them to shoulder the burden for your local services. And we want law enforcement, fire, education, water, resources, and all that stuff. And we will have ample of that. Some places in Florida probably wouldn't be able to fill, even if they reduce the budget, just because they don't have the economic base. I've calculated if you take the 32 most fiscally constrained counties in Florida, we could backfill 100% on day one, and it wouldn't even need to be this much. 100% on day one, every single homestead property, take them off the rolls, and it'd be about $260 million a year. That's budget dust in Florida. So it can be done. We're working on exactly the best way to do it. But I don't think we can say that it's fine to just have more and more property tax revenue going into the coffers and having the budgets go up and up. Florida's spending less this year than we did last year. We spent less last year than we did the year before. What's wrong with holding the line on spending and keeping all this constant? So you guys are going to have an opportunity to weigh in on that. But we in Florida, we don't need any revenue from any of this. We will be giving some of our revenue, to help local governments, particularly the fiscally constrained, but even some of the others. I mean, we've got the money to be able to do it, and we transition them into a situation where no one's going to get forced out of their home because they can't afford the property taxes. Young people are going to be able to buy a home and make the payments without being crushed by it's more expensive to pay insurance and tax than it is for the principal and interest on your mortgage in most parts of the country, not just